and welcome to NEWSI. I am Farfield, and we are here with Dr. Jean-Pierre. It is very nice to meet her right now, and she is the project manager of our digital economy. Good morning, Dr. Jean-Pierre.
Morning, and thank you very much for having me. Just a slight correction is the project manager for the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. Now, for the benefit of our viewers, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, so, well, as you have already said, my name is Jean-Pierre, and I'm the project manager for the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project. It's a World Bank funded project, and the intention really of this project is sort of to bridge the gap with the different activities that we need to do in order for us to have a fully functional digital economy. Prior to that, I would have served as the director of ICT unit.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, so I'm basically being the starter of almost all digital ICT within the public service.
Okay, fantastic. Because many of us can recall back in 2013, the OAS assisted a project called the Universal Civil Identity Program in the Americas. And that was a project where our registry with death, birth, marriage certificates, that information was digitized on a computer system where now we can get computerized printouts, correct?
Yes, so you're correct in that OAS would have assisted government to digitize its events records, events being birth, death, marriage, and in some cases adoption. So all of these events would have been digitized, and so it makes it a lot easier to be able to, one, verify information, because prior to that, someone would have had to lift. If you ever visit the registry to request an event certificate, you would see an officer lifting this really heavy book to be able to verify that information. So with digitizing the events now, it makes it a lot easier to verify and also to produce our electronic certificates.
Okay, great. Now, I read an article on Dominica News Online, goes on DNA, and I'm going to read just one sentence, which I want some clarity on. It said that upon completion of this project, ownership of all the hardware and software will be transferred to the Ministry of Tourism and Legal Affairs in order to ensure the sustainability of the benefits achieved by the project. Now, who was doing the transfer of the software and data?
So they would have trained officers within the ministry. So that ministry is actually now called Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs. So they would have trained officers to take up the responsibility of being able to maintain the software and to use the hardware as well. So as it is now, the hardware that would have been used for digitizing the events record is now being used to digitize the land registry information. So in all of our land registry information, again, it's in these hard books. And so we're able to utilize that equipment to have started digitizing the land record. So hopefully in the next 2 years or so, all of the land records, that is, the whole title, not the title itself, but the documents in order to prepare the title, all of that will be digitized.
Okay, but I was curious as to who had the hardware and software. Was it all generated in Dominica or did OAS have access to it?
Well, all of the hardware, software, everything was on premise, so everything would have resided at the registry. But because it was an OAS project, ownership of the software equipment would have belonged to the OAS at the time. But at the end of the project, everything was transferred to the government. So the government would have assumed ownership of the hardware, software, and all the components of the project.
Okay, because that leads into my next question about data. And in 2017, The Economist actually had a headline stating that data is the most valuable asset right now in the world. So who owns it will be quite influential So it's no secret that the United States is, they're very good generating data. People have a lot of concerns with privacy and so on. So they have access to it and then transfer it to us. We don't know if it's too sure that they have some form of,
No.
record of it.
So just to clarify, the project was based in Dominica.
Yeah.
The project was housed at the registry division. The
Okay.
servers, everything was in Dominica. So we had no storage outside of Dominica for this project. So all of the data, all of the information, all of the storage system, everything was at the registry. We had a secure room at the registry where everything was housed,
Okay.
and only the personnel that's with authority, I should add, had access to it. And so the persons working on the project or dealing with the project had access to the information, and those were Dominicans. And the regular staff of the registry did not have access to it because they were not part of the project. So there was nothing to bring back to Dominica after the project because everything was there. I mean, we are very big on security of data and information.
Oh, that is very reassuring.
Yes, and this is why even under this Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, we have a whole component or a cybersecurity component that deals specifically with that. Because it's one thing to go digital, but at the same time, you have to be able to build the confidence of your citizens
Yes.
and your people in going digital. And so we have basically, so for our cybersecurity, we're going to be establishing what we call a CERT, a Computer Emergency Response Team. And so we're going to be training individuals who will be able to respond to somebody who is, who they probably think that they have a cyber attack or they have a cyber breach. So we're providing all of that infrastructure and personnel to be able to assist with that. And for this component of the project, it's also, there's a regional part to it as well. So there are like 4 islands and the OECS dealing with this Caribbean Digital Transformation Project. So if assistance cannot be sought, Dominica needs further assistance, then we have the regional component or the regional CERT to fall back on.
Okay, now just to go back to having confidence in data being generated from our use of our devices, or telephone, or computer, and so on. I think by now everyone is aware of the recent decision by U.S. Supreme Court to reverse Roe versus Wade and the implications of abortion rights for women. Now, when it comes in technology, what's brought to my attention is that there are apps available which women use called period tracker apps. And in light of the decision, they are much concerned about personal health information. Those who use the app, it's accessed somewhere. And now it's like, wow, would the authorities now be able to subpoena those records and probably prosecute people? Because if abortion is now illegal in many states, then the tracker apps would give a record of when your period starts and end. It will give a status of if you're ever pregnant, or there's a gap in time. Wait a minute, did that person abort or had a miscarriage? So when it comes to data stored and that type of, it's not easy, because yes, somebody may say there are data protections in place. By the way, do we have data protection laws here?
Well, we have a draft, but again, under this project, we will be enacting Data Privacy and Protection Act. So as it relates to the scenario that you're raising, in our Data Protection and Privacy Act, will ensure that, as its name says, that the data of an individual will be protected, individual privacy will be protected. And so for this project, because again, digital and technology can be intrusive, one of the things that we have done is to engage a legal firm who will be reviewing all of our legislations, all of our laws, to ensure that you as a citizen, you're protected, As a consumer, you're protected. As a business, you're protected. As a government, you're protected. So it's not a case where we are just throwing technology at people and saying, hey, you need to use this, you need to be digital, you need to go online. No. We want to ensure that we have the legal framework that will protect and that will support all of the activities that we're doing.
But those activities will be protected within our jurisdiction because
Yes.
many of the technology we use are from other sources, Microsoft, from Google, and those apps are from other jurisdictions, other countries. So how far reaching with our local data protection laws?
Yeah. So within the scope of the project, all of basically the OECS, all of OECS islands will be protected. So we're looking at it from a regional standpoint, and that's why we're ensuring that we're not doing half, and then leave the rest for somebody to figure out. We're looking at whole of government. We're also looking at whole of region to ensure that whatever legislation that is put in place, it supports us from a regional perspective.
Okay.
Obviously, we are the Caribbean and we have no jurisdiction in the US, so I can't speak to the whole US scenario.
Yes, I understand. But in that process of drafting legislation, would the public be able to participate in this? Would they be aware before it's passed through Parliament?
Of course.
Okay,
So,
that's pretty good.
the work plan that has been submitted by the firm, there are whole series of stakeholders consultation, which involves coming to the public, going to the public, and informing and getting feedback, and getting buy-in and getting support. Because we're not doing it for it to be on a shelf. We're doing it for it to be practical. And so we must get, the whole public, even with this project, we have been doing town hall meetings. So we did a road show in Portsmouth where we invited all the neighboring villages and so to Portsmouth to basically educate them about the project, know what the project is about and what it's
Would you reach out to schools as well?
We did the schools, yes. So we did the schools and then we did a digital series from over 6 weeks where we brought others business places to again educate. And now we have started our town hall meetings. So we did one in Granby, we did one in Trafalgar, and we're going to go right across Dominica. So we don't want anybody to come to us. We're going to the people to tell them about the project and what is in it for you, basically.
The Caribbean Digital Transformation Project is attempting to make our lives more convenient. People are concerned about the privacy and security of online activities. The government is taking steps by putting safeguards in place to offer a sense of protection security. It is important that we follow the developments that are taking place and participate whenever necessary, as very soon town hall meetings may be in your area. Thank you for watching NEWSI. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for part 2 of this discussion.